The characters in the Unstable universe start off mostly as a tabula rasa, or blank slate. Wemmbu is no exception. At the beginning of the series, his only major character trait is that he likes power and is known for betrayal. But throughout the events of the story, Wembu's character develops to represent the pursuit of one ultimate ideal: freedom. Before we continue, I have to mention that I will be discussing spoilers for the Unstable SMP with no warnings other than this one. But I won't discuss anything from the last couple months in this episode. If you somehow found this video and haven't watched the Unstable SMP, I highly recommend it. It's a scripted Minecraft story with a pretty good story. Now, if you've been watching Wemmbu, you may initially assume that his character is similar to Flame in that they both primarily seek power. I do think that this is true for Wemmbu, but only as a means and not as an end like Flame. I'm gonna be quickly recapping Wembu's story. If you're already familiar with it, please skip to the timestamp on screen. Or don't, because it would probably be better for my YouTube analytics if you didn't. First, the Prince Sam Empire arc. Wembu and Prince Sam teamed up to defeat Spook. They temporarily succeeded. Then Prince Sam sent Wembu off to form a colony for him to protect a mysterious obsidian box. Wembu then got mysteriously attacked by Flame Frags and his goons repeatedly. Sam claimed that Flame just mysteriously betrayed him. Wembu then builds up the empire and keeps getting mysteriously attacked by Flame. He checks the mysterious obsidian box at one point because too many things have been too mysterious. Then he sees that it's empty. This accidentally slips out in conversation when Wembu is talking to Sam. Sam then tells Wembu that he set this up because he quote-unquote knew that Wembu would betray him.
I thought you were going to betray me, do something to ruin my empire, so I was going to have you killed, but you are just like so unbelievably weak that I'm not even gonna try to kill you. You're not a threat to my empire, not even a little bit. I was gonna chunk ban you, that's actually why I came here, but I mean, you don't have any boots on, your entire place is blown up, you're nothing. So instead of trying to chunk ban you or kill you or anything like that, I don't need to do any of that. I could just beat you up willingly, and it won't even like I can just beat you up, really. But I'm not gonna kill you, and I'm not gonna chunk ban you. I'm just gonna, I don't know, mess around with you.
And it blows up Wembu's entire kingdom. Wembu then non-mysteriously gets rich, loses to Sam again. Then Wembu frees Egg from Sam and blows Sam Empire up. Then Clown Pierce imprisons both Wembu and Sam. After escaping, the Invis Mafia arc starts for Wembu. Wembu still hasn't found Egg at this point, but he finds Sky Civ, where he's imprisoned yet again. Then the Invis Mafia comes to take over Sky Civ, but Wembu got a mace from Yajirin, the leader of Sky Civ, in a last-ditch attempt to try to protect it. Wembu then gets trained by Main Pair, who later betrays him by telling Flame Egg's betrayal of the Invis Mafia so that Main could get a chance to fight Flame. Then Wembu saves Egg. And then he went back to Main's tree, but Main... yeah. Then Wembu saves the day with the rest of the protagonists by defeating the Invis Mafia. So, Wembu clearly looks up to Main Pair. He gives him his mace even though there's no reason to trust Main Pair at this point, and follows most of his advice without question. But eventually, Main Pair gives up Egg's status as not being invisible anymore to Flame Frags, a member of the Mafia. Main Pair asks Wembu for the mace. Wembu refuses, instead choosing to go fight Flame himself. I believe that this was a key decision, representing how Wembu wants to use the power to give himself and Egg freedom. This ultimately doesn't go the best, but eggchan is free. But Wembu has now lost the mace. Wembu failed here for two reasons: his attachment to eggchan and his lack of skill or power. His attachment to eggchan meant that Flame could use that against him, threatening to kill him if Wembu didn't give up the mace. Wembu's lack of skill meant that he couldn't mace Flame Frags. He had several opportunities to, but he kept missing. This was indeed a skill issue, and I think it's symbolic that Wembu's last part of training, where he defeats Clown and Foray, are on his own, rather than under the guidance of Main Pair. Eventually, when he does defeat Clown and Foray, he gets his mace back. I think this is interesting because he gains this further power when he's more free, and with the help of Egg. There's a clear tension in this series between the freedom losses and gains from connections to others, which I'll get more into in another video. The first post-Mafia episode is when Wemmbu first experiences a loss of freedom due to his power. He just wants to peacefully build with Egg, and Theobald the bird comes looking for a fight. He's only here because he knows about Wembu's power. This was the first example of Wemmbu losing freedom due to his power. Right after this, the Eggchan Empire itself is an example of Wemmbu losing freedom from the power he gained. In order to maintain this empire, Wemmbu needs to do a lot of boring stuff, like guarding the empire. This was demonstrated in the conversation he had with Pengi and his visit to Wado, both caused by him being bored. Pengi tells Wemmbu that Sam only became reasonable after losing all his power, to which Wemmbu essentially has a tantrum where he calls Pengi weak, then leaves. This shows that this directly contradicted Wembu's worldview. He refuses to stop seeking power, which will be further explored in the next couple of his episodes. It's important to mention here that according to Zam in the Law Prison episodes, he was exploring the server after he escaped Clown's prison. Really wandering around the server sure does sound like freedom to me. After losing the Empire, Wemmbu almost seems relieved from getting back normal Eggchan. He continues saving Egg in the new prison they found themselves in and gathering more resources. At this point, he's so used to survival that this is natural. He quickly gets geared up by whatever means necessary. Then, he's ready to fight Jaden. Here, Wemmbu didn't initially prioritize vengeance, and was instead focused on leaving the Great Sea, getting his freedom. But Jaden attacked, so he fought back. Eventually, Jaden goes to the abandoned civilization, but Wemmbu doesn't need to follow him, yet he does, all for revenge. Here, we encounter one of Wembu's first real friends other than Egg, Rejoice. Rejoice is a guard for this empire that no longer exists. He is here to protect nothing from something that's no longer present, the Mafia. This is interesting, considering Wemmbu also continues to chase power in order to pursue a goal that has already been fulfilled, his freedom. Wemmbu could have left after Jaden jumped. It would have been just about the same difficulty as after the abandoned civilization episode, and yet he doesn't. Throughout this episode, no one does things the efficient way. Egg is constantly messing around, trying to learn the lore of this place. Lopez is making music with Egg and wasting vital golden blocks to anger Wemmbu. And Rejoice wants Wemmbu to take sunflowers. Wemmbu directly states that he has never been more annoyed. He just wants to kill Jaden and leave. Eventually, Rejoice dies. Wemmbu becomes silent. Rejoice died because Wemmbu couldn't help him on time. Rejoice was trapped with wardens in a room, the chorus fruits, whose effectiveness is determined by luck or failing to get Wemmbu into the room. He eventually decides to just mine the blocks blocking his path to get to Rejoice. But he was too late. Rejoice was killed. Wemmbu throws away his chorus fruit, and he defeats Jaden until he surrenders. Then he takes all of Jaden's armor and destroys all the chorus plants so he can't get out. He traps Jaden, leaves him to stew, a fate reflecting his worst nightmare. Trapped in a prison he effectively cannot escape without someone's help, helpless and unable to free himself. Season 2 generally shows how Wembu's excessive pursuit of power causes him to lose freedom. After losing their empire, Wemmbu seeks to get geared up. He can do this pretty easily. All he needs to do is fly until he finds someone with diamond armor and then electromace them. He even has some diamond armor that he can't use because someone will rob him, but he knows that he can easily defeat any robbers. He even directly encounters someone trying to rob him right after he says this, but throughout the episode, he seems to always find the most long-winded, elaborate ways to do simple things like obtain diamond armor and enchantments from some players. As Egg says, he could just electromace them, but he instead wants to create a tunnel and funnel some cows over, breed them until there's enough for a full enchanting table setup. This could just be chalked up to bad storytelling from Wembu's part, but this behavior is directly pointed out with Egg, which they wouldn't leave in if it wasn't there for a purpose. He tells Wemmbu to lock in, then leaves, like the ultimate aura farmer, biggest bird that he is. Wemmbu massacres all the base members using his electromace, even after they offer him peace while he's killing them. Then he goes to Flame Frags and tries to kill him. They eventually start chilling out, but nevertheless, something clearly changed in Wemmbu after Egg left. The first part of this episode was a clear contrast to Wembu's previous mentality of taking the most efficient route possible to his goals. This is then contrasted with him killing the players in the cow base, and contrasted again by him hanging out casually with Flame. Previously, I thought this and the next episode were filler before the research for this video. I was gonna skip them in my plot summary and tell you all that he does some stuff that doesn't matter after the Abandoned Civilization video. But then, I rewatched the video titled How I Hunted the Unstable SMP. The video opens with Wemmbu looting the old Bat headquarters. Some people make a half-hearted attempt on his life. Then, he gets arrow cannoned, essentially an automatic death if successful. But he luckily survives by pulling out his totem in the nick of time. Will, rich from the stash of the Invis Mafia, now appears. Now, it's important to mention here that out of the 3 Season 1 protagonists, Wemmbu probably had the least amount of direct interaction with the Mafia. He never visited Mafia City, and I don't believe he ever met Ashwag, while Parrot and Spoke did both multiple times. Wemmbu finds a compass on some people he later kills that leads to the Mafia City. This is when Show Me the Sky, Show Me How to Live by Asali first plays. Wemmbu ascends up the levels of the Mafia City with his elytra. He meets Will, who essentially tells him to kill the last guy and he'll leave Wemmbu alone. The last guy lives in the ruins of the Zam Empire. Interesting. The Zam Empire, if you remember from about 10 minutes ago, is the reason Wemmbu first gains a major thirst for freedom through power. Here, Wemmbu gets void-trapped by Will. He majestically survives by precisely shooting himself with his bow to fly. Then, he infiltrates Will's mafia and steals a bunch of stuff. Essentially, Wemmbu manages to defeat Will despite being severely undergeared compared to him by stealing a bunch of stuff and being goaded. He defeated Will and he stasis away, but Wemmbu is now rich. This episode ends with Wemmbu flying above the Mafia with Show Me the Sky, Show Me How to Live by Azali playing again. This moment made me realize what his character is about. Wemmbu has lost the ability to live properly. Minecraft is a game. It's meant to be played for the purpose of fun. Wemmbu has lost sight of this in his pursuit of power. He wasn't able to have much fun for much of Season 1 because he was trapped in bad situations a lot. But eventually, I'd argue starting in SkyCiv, he gained the ability to easily have fun. SkyCiv has stupid rules, but there were people who cared about him, like Pangy. There was plenty to do, like build, play games, like the rest of SkyCiv was. And much like this, many would argue that life is meant for personal fulfillment. Whether that be through religion, a career, family, academia, or another one of the infinitesimal ways to enjoy life. Yet, we're constantly told to strive to become better, more looks-maxed, smarter, harder, better, faster, stronger. But for what? Not as an end in itself, but to simply be better. I don't find this surprising as a trend when we live in a world where there are so many people barely making ends meet, unable to live the life they saw their parents live. AI is now offering to summarize books to us, 600 pages into a couple bullets of summary. Also, you can optimize your life and time. But at some point we must ask, to what end? Sure, it's nice for a while, just like power, but eventually we grow used to it. Then we want more and more. Or, if we aren't living up to these standards, we can just lobotomize ourselves with AI-generated TikToks. I think there is a beauty in stewing, in taking the ineffective route, in simply existing and doing whatever you feel like, in making music with no blocks, or having sunflowers in your inventory. Maybe the only time Wemmbu was really free was when he made the cow tunnel